Okay, there we go. Had a bit of an issue there, but I've sorted it out and now I'm back. So today I'm going to be decorating Karrde's Great Hall set for chapter 19 and onwards, because it will be appearing a few times in future installments as well. So at the moment it's just a basic room with no textures except for the doors over there. So we're going to be using iClone's built-in substance tools to create the textures for the floor, the walls, the ceiling and the seating area around here. What I'm not going to be doing is adding extra furniture. I haven't got what I need for that yet, so obviously I can't put that in. And there's an issue with trees. Trees in iClone don't export to Omniverse yet, but Omniverse has its own selection of trees, so there's the spot here for the tree to go in, but I won't actually add it until the scenes are ready to be exported into Omniverse, and I'll use an Omniverse tree to go in here. Because the book describes there's a big tree in the centre of the room that goes out through the roof in a hole in the ceiling. So that's what we're going to be doing. So what I'm thinking is stone floor, stone walls, and then these supports are going to be made of wood. Obviously you get some soil for the tree here, wood for the benches, stone for the wall around here, and these red sections, and probably for the door frames as well. So let's get started. Hello, Berserker and the Eternal Emperor, welcome. If you haven't seen it yet, on the community page there's a character poster for Heir to the Empire. I'm going to be releasing one every Monday. I took some inspiration from the book Boba Fett, because every Monday after an episode they would release character posters, and I thought, well, why not do the same for Heir to the Empire. Aki Gamer, hello, welcome. So yeah, check out the Luke picture on the community page, and I'll be releasing another one next Monday. So this is the substance creator, has all these different types of materials that you can use for scenes, for objects, and they're broken up into different types of material. Obviously we're going to go with stone, and there's bricks, which are also quite useful, and ground. We're going to start with the ground, so that's carpet and things. Bricks, maybe the one. I know what I'm looking for, I just can't remember which section it's in. Might be that one. Ah, here we go. Bricks. Okay, that's what I'm going to use for the walls. Okay, so we're going to go with the walls first, because why not? Berserker Thrawn, I was actually watching that the other day. Patrick D, welcome. All the way from Canada. I'm in the UK. So. Somebody X. That could be a fun project. Welcome. So I've added the texture to the bricks to the wall. As you can see, the bricks are tiny. I want them to be big slabs. Actually, Gamer, what are you making? And Berserker Thrawn, I was watching The Two Towers. Somebody exit. Well, I'm sure that they can reach out to me if they want to. They can find my contact details if they really want to. And it'd be interesting to get a phone call from them, as long as it's not from their lawyers. Jamie, not to worry. Only just got started, so you haven't really missed much. This is going to be talent cards. Great Hall for chapter 19 and a number of other chapters later on. So I'm just going to be adding textures to this. I built the room itself yesterday to prepare for the stream, and I thought, well, I'll texture it on the stream so you guys I can do that while I'm talking to you guys. Actually, that sounds like a fun project. Are you going to use it for anything, or are you just doing it to learn how to use the modelling software? So the bricks are tiny on this big slabs, like I said. So in the options, make this bigger. There's various options here. So one of the things we can do is go to the UV settings, lock ratio, and all channels. I'm going to reduce the number of the tiling to make them bigger. Let's try that. Getting better, but I need it to be bigger than that. That's more like it. And well, I'd be intrigued to learn what you do when you do a real project. But of course, practicing is very important. It's the only way to learn, really. But when you do a project, you're going to learn a lot more that even the practice sessions don't teach you. But that's also part of the fun. So the bottom of the bricks is not lining up the floor, so you can use the offset. So let's try. Too far. Excellent. I'm glad you've made things and you're continuing to make things. Patrick D, the Rings of Power, the teaser trailer didn't really reveal anything about the series. It's just a random shots. So I think we need to see a full trailer, or at least the first episode, to really judge it. But I'll give it a try and see what I either like it or I won't. Not going to judge it based on the tiny glimpse we saw. Obviously, it's got a lot of money thrown at it for the production value, so look, we'll see. And that's true about Shamuk. I guess how you pronounce his name. It's different. What he did is different from what I do. But I would be. I don't. So if they were ever to reach out to me, it would probably be to direct an episode of something. I imagine it would not be one of the live action shows, which is fun because most of my experiences with animation. I've done a couple of live action projects, but I much prefer animation. So, and obviously it's the big, well, those are the big high profile shows. So they wouldn't let a nobody anywhere near those So it'd be interesting to be brought on to work on one of the animated shows like Bad Batch, or if they've got any other secret projects in the works that we don't know about. Star Wars Theology, thank you so much for those very kind words. I'm looking forward to continuing the series, chapter 19 onwards. There's a lot of exciting things to come, and I look forward to being able to put it all together in a part 2 movie edit, just like part 1. Still got a way to go before I can pull that off, but it'll be fun when it's done. Right, so back to the tiles. I'm quite happy with these slabs. I'm going to change the colour of them so they're not quite just grey. Driving, that'd be interesting to watch, as long as they don't ask me to stop in the process. Right, so we're going to change the colour of the bricks a little bit. Slightly more yellow and orange, because the outside bricks are... Here we go. How much moss do we want? No, not that much. I think it's right where it was. Somebody X, that's the only bit of mocap I did not do. I used the stock falling animation for that, because I don't want to damage the suit. Everything else, though, I did myself. Well, I believe the Thrawn and Ezra story is going to be told in the Ahsoka series. I don't know if we'll see flashbacks or what, but I think we'll learn what happened there. Which I'm interested to see what they do with that. If they ask me for help, I'd be happy to provide it. Jamie, you won't be disappointed with some of the things that are going to come later in the series, is all I'm going to say to that. Basically, I've written the script for the entire rest of the book. And sent bits and pieces of it to the voice actors, waiting for them to send back the dialogue. There's obviously a lot of dialogue to go through. Some of the things like that are really fun to do, just the little subtle animations that make the characters feel more alive, because it'd be very easy just to have them standing around doing nothing and just talking, but that's not how people are, especially on film. And Han's a good one to do, because he's got some... Harrison Ford's got very distinctive mannerisms, so recreating those is fun, like the finger point, the way he walks. And so on. Travin, so am I. I know at some point I'm going to have to start reading Dark Force Rising, which I'm looking forward to. Right, so you've got the walls set up there. Let's find the right texture for the floors. I'm going to experiment with a few different ones. I don't think this is the one I wanted. Let's have a look at the options for it. Nope. But what I'm going to do is the same thing I did with the wall, is to change the offset so the bricks are bigger, and I can change it again later. Travin, yeah, this is inside the Great Hall where he has meetings with various characters. That's the one I was looking for. I may have made the... Let's change that to slightly smaller. There we go. Yes, this is the Great Hall. First appears in chapter 19, but it will be in several other chapters later on. It's described as having a tree that goes out through the ceiling from the middle of the room. So I'm not going to add the trees today. The iClone trees don't export to Omniverse render. So Omniverse has its own trees. So once I've animated the scene, I'll export it to Omniverse and add one of the Omniverse trees into the middle of the room there. And there needs to be some other furniture which I don't have yet. I'm going to put some tables and chairs and some other bits of decorations around here. So the outside of the base is its own separate environment or set. It's what I was working on last week. I've worked on it a lot since then, so it's not finished yet, but what I'll do is, this building is part of that obviously. I will place the camera where the door is and render a shot facing that way, which I'll then put as a flat surface here by the door. I don't really need to show the characters. When the characters walk in through the door, what will probably happen is, let's see if I get the camera in the right place. I'll put the camera somewhere like here, so you see them walking in and you'll see the background outside. But having the entire base rendered outside would be slow the render times down to a crawl for very little benefit. If you check back last week's stream, you'll see what I was doing there. So let's see, we've got bricks. Go to the advanced parameters. Again, I'm going to change the colour a little bit to be slightly browner. I've always enjoyed Karrde, but I find that working on this series, I'm enjoying him a lot more than I ever did before, especially because I'm playing him. I also look kind of like him, so I'm thinking at some point I should cosplay as him. And I can say, well, I'm cosplaying Karrde, but I also played him in my own web series. I need to find a Mara Jade cosplayer to join me. Otherwise, it's just going to look like a guy in a brown jacket. Actually, that reminds me. I should probably bring in Karrde to make sure this is suitable scale for the characters, and I can resize the room accordingly. That's how I meant to start the stream, and then got straight into the texturing. So let's quickly do that. So I just drag him from the character list, drop him. It takes a minute or so to load. There's actually a loading bar here which you can't see. Right. So in chapter 19 he's going to be sitting on, the book describes him as sitting in under the tree. So let's move him here, find a sitting animation to make sure I've got this at the right size. Let's go with that. Just a still pose, and as you can see the set's slightly too big, so I'm just going to grab it and shrink it down a little bit. Let's move him. slightly more. Slightly too far. That should do. I'm glad you liked the way Mara Jade looked in the last episode. I've been working on her appearance for a while. There's improving an upgrade from the model that you'd seen previously, and goggles were one of the last things I added. Just gonna have a quick drink for a second. Water. But I deliberately wanted to keep her where she looked secret, so that when she showed up at the end of the chapter, it would be a big surprise, and you'd get to see her in the scene properly rather than just me showing her still. And yeah, I think Thrawn definitely had a thing for Karrde. I don't think it's more than. I think it's a bit more than a hint. I would very much like to see Karrde and Kyle Katarn back. I can't see it happening at this point, which is a shame, but it'd be very nice to see if they did it. Especially Karrde, I think. There's lots of story potential there. Right, so the room's now the right size for the characters. So he looks like he can sit there comfortably. I'm going to leave him there for now. Actually, what I should probably do is save the progress. So Keanu Reeves has got the right look for Karrde, but I don't think he could play Karrde. I think he'd be as far as his acting ability goes, I think he'd be wrong for it. There was someone I was watching. Sometime last year, I was watching something. I thought, oh, that actor playing that character would be really good as Karrde. But now I can't remember who it was. It's going to bother me now. So Admiral Moses, welcome. So I didn't see you sneak in there. Parts of the Old Republic has been brought into canon as well. There's been references to it in the recent Thrawn books. In the Thrawn Ascendancy, there was a reference to the Chiss working with the Sith long ago. And Timothy Zahn did actually write. I haven't actually got any of my characters high enough level to play through it, but he wrote. I think it was a. Oh, I can't remember. He wrote some part of it anyway. And I'm looking forward to actually reaching that point. Anyway, okay. So, yeah, cards in place. I need some wood texture for the bench. And I know I need to level up my character to reach the Timothy Zahn parts of the that he writes the Old Republic. I'm still making my way through Dawn of Ascendancy. I'm in the middle of book 2. I got book 3 for Christmas, which I'm looking forward to reading, but obviously I need to read them in order, so I can't get. I'm not there yet. That's a nice texture. It's facing the wrong direction. We'll fix that in a moment. Oh, we're still editing the floor. So I need to we'll set the floor to be a 2K text. Do you think there's actually now that I've resized it, I think those floor tiles are a little too big, so we're going to shrink that down a little bit. A bit more. That's a bit more sensible size. Now, the Timothy Zahn books are the only new canon books I've been following. He has done, apart from a few references here and there, he's done a pretty good job of writing them in a way that you could imagine them happening in either timeline, which I think was a very smart move. The first of the new Thrawn books especially, which is how he goes from being discovered at the edge of the unknown regions to becoming Grand Admiral. But otherwise, you could I lost where I was going there. Anyway, let me finish texturing this floor. Yeah, that's right. So you have to bake texture, which is all the different sliders adjust things like how bumpy it is, the colour, and different textures have different options. So you bake it, and it's basically saving those into an actual texture file. You have to do that because otherwise it's very demanding on your system memory. Okay, so the floor's done. Now we're going to work on this. Actually, let's do a simple one, which is going to be in here. Mud. Drop the mud in. Select that texture. Needs to be. I mean, the chances of me putting the camera down there to have a look are pretty slim. But it still needs to be there. Gunnar, welcome. Right, so the mud's in. Don't think I need to do anything else. Yeah, that's fine. Well, actually, no, it's not. Let's increase texture quality a little bit. That's better. So when I put the tree in, that's going to be hit here. Excuse me. There's some water. Excuse me about that. I'm not used to talking constantly, except when I'm on stream with you guys. Occasionally that happens. I'm hoping we get a glimpse of Thrawn before Ahsoka. But looking forward to seeing what they do with him. It's surprising that Darth Plagueis book is so popular. So is that even now? When there's so many other Star Wars books out there, that Darth Plagueis still outsells everything. And his Vonskas will be here in the final scene. It's almost like that sad Keanu Reeves meme. Maybe I should render this out and put a sad card. That would be fun. I'll do that once I've once I finish texturing. Oh, I'll render out a sad card. Alright, so mud's done. I didn't finish the wood seat panels, so let's do that. I haven't, because it's not a story the Jedi would tell me. I've not seen Lars in House of Cards, but I do remember him in Sherlock. It's actually Sherlock that got him the voice acting role for Rebels, because Dave Filoni was watching it and knew that was the guy he wanted to be Thrawn. And he's very good in The Witcher as well. I need to make the panels bigger. Yeah, Thrawn doesn't seem like a happy person, though I don't think he's too concerned by that. He just... Admiral Moses, I was at the panel at Celebration London where Thrawn was revealed, and Dave Filoni was on stage, and so he talked about one of the things he talked about was how he came to that decision, and obviously Sherlock came up during that explanation. I've actually met Lars. He was really fun to meet. Unfortunately, I met him before he got Thrawn, so I couldn't do anything Thrawn related during that meeting. But I did. He seemed like a really friendly guy. It's very interesting to see which of those books are all the ones that are best-selling ones. And yeah, the Vortskas are named Sturm and Drang. Right, so the panels are done. Textures are not quite lined up. Something to fix later, I think. Right, so let's bake these for now. I can always unbake them and rework the textures later as needed. And then we've got this stone section here. Let's see what stone we've got. I could do bricks, or I could... Yeah, I think it needs to be bricks. Maybe smaller versions of the bricks behind. Or maybe these bricks. No, not those bricks. Where's the other bricks? It's a shame that the people steal the Lego figures out of those books. Because obviously the figures are very popular. As evidenced by the fact that people steal them from the factories. I do enjoy Star Wars Lego. Looking forward to the new Lego game as well, especially after seeing some of the gameplay showed off. I don't think Thrawn would have been good for the sequels with especially J.J. Abrams as a director, because I don't think J.J. Abrams would have a clue how to... I'm not a J.J. Abrams fan, so I don't think he would have had a clue on how to handle a character like Thrawn. So I'm glad Thrawn is being handled by Dave Filoni, who has at least read the books, understands the character a bit better. Somebody else, thank you. I'm sure you could do it. Just takes a bit of patience. I think these are the wrong tiles. Let's try something else. These look like kitchen tiles. Let's try these bricks. Too modern. That could work. That's the same as the floor though. Nope. Yeah, I guess I'm going to go the same as the wall, but I'll make them look different. And yeah, I pre-ordered the Switch version. I had hopes that the PC version would have online co-op, but I guess it's not going to, so I'm quite happy to play the Switch version, which I can play when whatever scenes I'm working on for this are rendering. Mark Sable was a tricky maneuver to animate. When I did the first chapter and had to do it, it took a lot of work to figure out how to get it to look right. You should give it another go though. I always encourage creativity. I do remember Timothy Zahn making some comments about The Force Awakens. It's basically the opposite of what he did because he said many times that when he was given the task of Heir to the Empire, what he didn't want to do was do a Vader 2 as the villain. He wanted something completely different. I should tell a new story rather than to just rehash what's already been done before. So I can see why he'd be unimpressed by The Force Awakens. Driving, I'm pretty sure they do actually, because none of the movie projects seem to be going anywhere. And I don't really see a problem with that. There we go, it's different from the walls, but similar. If Dave Filoni's been put in charge of overseeing all of the Star Wars television projects. I don't remember the exact title he has, but that's the role he plays. I think that's done. There are some issues where they don't line up. That's something to do later. At the moment, it's just about getting the textures on the surface of different aspects of the room. Rogue Squadron seems to be in limbo. She was directing it, and then there was some things where the project got delayed because she was going to work on Wonder Woman, but now Wonder Woman's not happening. So I don't know what the news is on Rogue Squadron. Admiral Moses, thank you so much for stopping by. I wish you luck in your games. So there were several film projects underway. There was the Rogue Squadron film, which is on hold. I suspect it will never appear. There was the Rian Johnson trilogy, which I don't think is going to happen now because nothing's been said about that for a long time. And then there was... what's the other one? The Taika Waititi series, film. I think that's still happening. But again, they haven't said anything about that for a long time. And I kind of got to the point where I think Star Wars' future is better off with the Disney Plus shows rather than films. That's the floor I was looking for. We're going to change the floor. Of course it's on ground. Sorry, I got distracted there. So yeah, So I don't know, the Taika Waititi series is the only one that's likely to still happen. But even then, that can change. So let's do that. I want that to be slightly brown. This floor has different texture options to what I was using before, so bear with me a second as I try and get this right. Kathleen Kennedy kind of oversees everything. It's actually Deborah Cho, I believe, who's the showrunner for Kenobi. I had it just right, now I adjusted it wrong. Let's go with that. Actually, you know what? I think the floor I had before works better. So let's undo. Grammar Rodeo, I wonder what that's going to be. I undid a little bit too much. Okay, there we go. Yeah, that floor actually works better. It's not too distracting. Somebody X, I've never used Poser, so I can't compare the two. So next up we've got these red sections. I'm just going to use maybe this. Yeah, that looks good. I don't think I need to change anything about that one. Let's have a quick look what the options are. So I will increase the texture output quality. But yeah, that's good. Just bake this and then I'll paint it on the other sections. And yeah, Emperor, I agree that the TV shows, Star Wars is always really big stories, which is why it's been trilogies, or the the Clone Wars and so on. And Rogue Squadron works as a big story, not Rogue One, because it's connected to A New Hope. I like that. So it makes sense there. Solo was fun, but it didn't add anything because it wasn't a big story. Whereas Clone Wars and Rebels and Mandalorian and the Book of Boba Fett and Bad Batch, they're all big stories spread out across many hours of episodes, and I think that best suits Star Wars. One of my friends asked me what I thought of Solo, and I said, well, it's a fun space adventure, but it doesn't really add anything to Star Wars, in a sense that if you don't watch it, you're not really missing out on anything, other than it's kind of fun to watch. Right, so we're going to work on these wooden sections next. Then we watched it together, and she agreed. Street Gamer, thank you. I'm glad you enjoyed the most recent chapter. That's not the texture I wanted. That's not the texture I was looking for. And there is going to be a point with the saturation of Star Wars that there's just so much content that it's impossible to keep up with. It already is with the High Republic. I started reading the first book, and it's kind of interesting. And then I had a quick look, and there were 6 more books due to be released within weeks. And I thought, I do not have time to catch up to keep track of this. So I very quickly gave up on the very first High Republic book, and I looked at the series again back in January when it was about a year old, and there were 20 between the books and the adult books, the young adult books, and the comics. There were 20 or so books released in 1 year, and that was just an insane amount of content to have to keep up with. So I was very glad I didn't attempt to do that. Geek Squadron, thank you so much for the super chat and for your very kind words. How long does it take to animate and render a chapter? The animation is pretty quick. I do the motion capture. So what I'll do is, when I get the recordings from the voice actors for a chapter, I'll put together a rough edit of the dialogue so that to get an idea of the timing. I then put that on my phone and listen to it as I perform the motion capture to give myself a sense of timing for each character. So in the last chapter you had Karrde and Luke, so I listened to it and then I would do all of Luke's animation, all of Luke's performance first, and then I'd do his 3 or 4 times, and then I would do Karrde's again, listening to all the dialogue, so that what I did for Karrde lined up with what I did for Luke, and then I'd do Karrde 3 or 4 times. So then I'll bring that into iClone. There's a cleanup process because it can be a bit jerky and the limbs don't always line up. There's a behind the scenes video on my channel if you want to see the process for that. Then of course got to do the lip sync and facial animation. That can take... That scene on the bridge took about a week to animate, from motion capture to facial animation and so on. Not quite a week, but nearly a week. Then there's the rendering process. So the bridge scene took about 7 hours to render. Might have been 8. I don't know, because I left it running overnight. And it was done by the time I'd finished breakfast. And the Luke's X-Wing scene took about 2 hours to render, because it's a simpler set and only one character. Rendering the Omniverse, obviously it makes it look better. I have to do different things with the lighting. Because the lighting in iClone does transfer into Omniverse, which is handy. But I find it's better to once the scene is in Omniverse, to scrap all the iClone lighting and just light it again from scratch in Omniverse, and it looks much better that way. So I hope that answers your questions. But I guess the render times on Omniverse are a bit longer, but it's worth it. And I can leave it rendering overnight, so which is what I was doing anyway. If a scene was going to be a 4-hour render, if it takes 7 hours, it doesn't really make much difference when I'm asleep. LPS Murder Mystery, hello. I'm glad you just finished Vision of the Future. What did you think of it? Yeah, I kind of looked back at it when I saw the game announcement. Eclipse, I think it was. I can't remember. The trailer for the Video Game Awards. I thought, do I need to catch up with all of this other content? And I looked to see how much content there was. That's why I went back and counted all those books. And I thought, I'm sure they'll design the game so that people can play the game without reading all the books. But then I saw that the game's not going to be released for about 5 years, so I decided not to worry about it at all. Okay, that's the wooden sections textured. Got to do the same with the ceiling. But let's bake this. Actually, yeah. Now I can bake it. Good. I'm glad you enjoyed the book. It'll be a fun book to animate at some point, though. I'm a long way from there at the moment, obviously, with this. I'm going to use the same wooden texture on here. Better. Geek Soldier, I'm glad you liked his hair. So the hair is the only part of the character model that I changed for Chapter 18. Well, I guess the flight suit I was using before, it's the same one I created for Wedge way back. So I just I didn't change it. Excuse me. Another drink of water. So his face hasn't changed at all for several chapters, but I did change the hair to a much newer hairstyle, which is more detailed and more realistic looking. I don't even know what the problem is with my throat there, other than I'm talking a lot more than I usually do, and I don't think my voice is used to it. Where was I? Oh yeah, so the hair is the only thing about Luke I changed. Everything else is just exactly the same model I've been using for a while now. Right, so the last part of the room to texture is the door frames. And I may actually just use these. Same textures here. Ooh. Yeah. So I'm going to take this texture, unlink it so it's separate from the other one that's around the bench, which means I can edit it without it affecting all the others. As for animating all the books, given how long it's taken me to just do one, I don't know if I can manage all of them. Let's wait and see. Let's be my position on that. But also, I want to encourage other animators and fan filmmakers to pick up other Star Wars books and give them a try. Right, that's almost there. I need to make it a little bit bigger. There we go. And that's done. So go out the door and then zoom in. And this is Thrawn's Grand Hall. It's going to quickly save so if anything happens I don't lose it. So what I will do after, what I need to do next is, I'm not going to do it tonight, I'm going to end the stream shortly because it's getting late. What needs to be done to finish the room off is to have some tables and chairs and other furniture around. Which I don't have the objects for those yet, so I need to find those and bring them in. And then, as I said before, there's supposed to be a big tree here in the middle of the room, but I'm not going to add that in iClone because the trees in iClone don't export to Omniverse. I mean, they may do by the time I render this, although I think it's unlikely. I think it'll happen eventually. So the tree's going to be missing in iClone, but then Omniverse itself has a big selection of trees. So once I've animated the scene and exported it to Omniverse, I will take one of the Omniverse trees and place it right there in the middle so it's more accurate to the book. I don't know which tree I'm going to choose yet because we haven't got that far. Obviously it has to be a tall one. Which book is next after Heir to the Empire? I think Dark Force Rising would have to be the next book, really. Yeah, I got crushed between two large asteroids. I remember that ending. Anyway, I've finished the text in the room, so I think that's going to be it for that tonight. Thank you all for coming. Be sure to check out the community page on the channel because that's where the new poster is. I'm going to release one character poster every Monday until I run out of characters, and at the moment I've got 31 on the list. So it'll take a while. So be sure to check out that one. Today it's Luke to start things off. Trying to think what else I can say. If you haven't seen it yet, go and check out chapter 18 and share it on social media and so on. Watch it again. Yeah. So thank you all for coming. See you all next week, and may the Thrawn be with you.